today is, what is true education? And to some people that might sound like a very heavy question, and maybe there are lots of different ways to answer it. But there's a lovely quote, well, I think it's a good quote, by Albert Einstein that says, true education is what remains after, when we forget our schooling, basically. You know, I haven't said it exactly, but that's kind of the message in a nutshell. So I'm sure each of us, even as adults who went to school, can think about the things that have stuck with us, whereas all those facts and things we memorized and crammed for the exams, we've long forgotten. But there are certain things that stay with us. And I think it's possibly the same with our children. With our children, you and me have got a couple of graduates. Probably with the things that we think were important might not be the things that stand out for them. Yeah. But let's just toss our ideas back and forwards and see where we go with this topic.
Yeah, so one of the thoughts that I had was in 2019, when our youngest finished, one of the things that I absolutely dreaded was going through the boxes and boxes and boxes of materials that we had used over the years, because I knew that I was going to have to face a lot of emotions. And it was a very emotional time. You know, I had like 25 years of homeschooling and kids were launching, and then I had these big crates. And so I said to each of the kids, I'm going to give you one box and you can go through it first. And you're going to put into each of those boxes what you want to keep and what is special to you. And exactly as you said, the things that they chose and that they were oohing and aahing over were very different to what I thought was important. And it took, it took quite a lot for me to take all of those pages of sums and, because nobody's going to use those workbooks, and toss them in the bin. That was like huge. And I think how much of the time we spent on just doing pages of sums and doing handwriting and this, that, and the next thing. And I actually will try and find it and get Sarah, who does our editing, to put a picture of it. My son, who at the time was 23, took out a picture where he put his little handprint when he was 2.5. And he said, that I remember. And I was absolutely floored, that those are the sort of things that were there. They chose a book here. They chose photos of outings. They chose to keep their little portfolios that I would make up for them at the end of the year. But in general, I would say about 80% of the stuff could have been turfed. So does it mean we shouldn't have done that 80%? I don't think so. I mean, we can't toss out maths and reading and writing because, those things become so much part of you and are needed for milestones in life and that sort of thing. Have you ever had that discussion with your kids?
I haven't had a discussion, but actually something came up just recently. I've realized that often in the past, I think because of having many children, and a lot of the time for the first 12 years of homeschooling, I was either pregnant or I had babies and toddlers, and I was trying to free myself of the school mindset. Often in the curricula that we used, I didn't do all the assignments and all the activities, and I looked at them and I thought, that's schoolish. We've read the book, we've discussed it, my kids have narrated back to me, so we don't need to do an assignment or a research project or whatever. That's for school kids. But recently I've now got a little bit more time and being a little bit more focused on some of my kids that are not so busy with work and other things. And I realized that sometimes it's not the project and the content that's important, but it's the skill that the child learns in doing that. And just this week, my youngest, who's 11, was doing one of the assignments from our Footprints Nature Quest project, and it was about researching the sheep industry in South Africa. Now, I don't care whether he ever remembers anything about sheep farming in South Africa or not, but he did it on Canva, which is a digital tool to create like a PowerPoint or not, it's not a PowerPoint, but to create a visual thing. And I realized that he's learned such a valuable skill by doing that. So whether or not he ever remembers the sheep or not, what he researched, doesn't really matter to me as much as the fact that he had to learn to do a presentation, he had to edit the writing, he had to select pictures to go with what what he had researched. And that's a skill. I mean, that's a tool that we use for our own marketing in our business.
Right.
And it's a tool that he can use at any future point for his business or for somebody else's business if he works in it. So actually the skill is more important than the content. And maybe that fits in really well with Einstein's quote about, you know, we forget the facts, but it's those skills that you've learned and the self-discipline and the character to sit and apply yourself and do the research or whatever. So I think it's those things that are actually true education, not knowing different types of sheep breeds and, you know, whatever it is that you've learned about that topic.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I mean, you know, that's kind of like full stop, because it 100%, there is probably not much that we can add to that. And maybe what we should say is that if parents are finding themselves bogged down in the nitty-gritty of learning facts, to try and shift the focus for them and to encourage the children. Like if somebody says, when am I ever going to need algebra? When am I ever going to need, you know, the date that Jan van Riebeeck arrived? When will I ever need whatever? Understanding chromosomes. The fact is that there is something bigger at play here, and that should be the focus. Yeah, good one.